All right, everybody, just about 60 more seconds and then we'll get started. I just want to give other people, just in case they're running late, some extra time to sign on. Cool, we got a couple more people. Okay, good morning. Many of you know who I am, and many of you know who Mike is as well. You should. But I'm Hannah, and we just wanted to, give an opportunity for a little bit of a different topic for a Zoom meeting this month. Mike and I both really support this program. I'm speaking for Mike too, but this program that Madeline from the YWCA is going to present on today is just really special, and we think it's going to be really beneficial to most of you landlords. I personally enroll tenants into this program, so it has become kind of a little bit of a love of mine to kind of get to know these tenants through all the details that you'll hear from Madeline and through Mike and a little bit through myself too. So we'll just kind of get rocking and rolling. Mike, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about it. I'm sure most of you, Mike and I tried to do a pretty good job about educating you all on this whenever we're out looking at your properties. So some of this may be a little repetitive, but there will be a lot more information for you to learn today. And we're so grateful to have Madeline from the YWCA. She'll kind of introduce herself and let you know what she does and how involved she is as well, to educate you a little bit too. I don't know, Mike, if you wanted to say anything.
I don't. I'm just here to, some of the updates that I might not be aware of. So I'm ready for Madeline to get going.
Cool. And this is being recorded. I do apologize for the last meeting. Something happened. Another landlord had recorded it before I did. So something's still lost in the matrix, unfortunately. So I'm still trying to locate that. But this is being recorded and it will be sent out through an email too. Okay, so sorry, without further ado, Madeline, go ahead and introduce yourself. You can get rock and rolling. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Madeline Bordeaux, and I am the leasing coordinator for the Community Choice Demonstration. I am gonna share my screen. I have probably a 20-minute presentation this morning, and I'll make sure to leave plenty of time for questions. And if you have questions as I'm going through, feel free to put things in the chat and we can discuss. Oh, great. And thank you so much, Mike and Hannah, for giving me this time this morning. I am obviously a little biased. I think we have a great program, but I'm super excited to share some information with you. All right. Is that working? Can you see that, Hannah? Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
So the community choice demonstration.
It is that JO39.
Okay. Go ahead, Madeline. I'm going to try to mute everybody if they're not muted already. Sorry.
Thank you. So CCD at its core is a housing mobility program. So our goal is to help families with housing choice vouchers access housing in what we call opportunity areas. This is actually a study that's coming from HUD at the federal level. There are 8 sites across the country, and Pittsburgh is one of them. And here in Pittsburgh, we're partnered with ACHA and ACHA. We are currently funded through 2028, and we're projected to provide services to roughly 10,000 families over the course of the demonstration between the sites, which is really exciting, with the goal of helping voucher families with kids access housing in low-poverty neighborhoods with great schools and other strong community supports. So our partners, like I said, this came from HUD at the federal level. There's also a whole study and technical support team that we work really close with. So that's exciting because they are looking at the data that's being generated by this program at all of the sites, with the hopes that this can be learned from and made into a bigger program that can be rolled out more broadly in the future. So that feels good that all of our hard work now could turn into more opportunities for families down the line. As I mentioned, here in Pittsburgh, we're working with Allegheny County Housing Authority and Housing Authority City of Pittsburgh. Mike and Hannah have been absolutely essential in all of this, and we have some other partners at both housing authorities as well. We're also partnered with Allegheny County DHS. They are doing some of the enrollment and help with the coordination. And then I work at the Greater Pittsburgh YWCA, and we are doing all of the service provision for our partner families. So our goals, the biggest kind of overarching goal is to help families with housing choice vouchers who have kids access housing in high opportunity neighborhoods. So mixed or high income areas, great schools, all the good stuff that we want our kids to grow up with. And we want to give our partner families the choice to actually live wherever they want. And to do that, we need property owners who are excited to work and partner with us so that I'm able to send unit referrals in our opportunity areas. So because this is a mobility program, we can only work in certain neighborhoods. We call them opportunity areas. It's everything in green on this map. And these are defined by census tract, so we are able to be pretty specific about the areas that we can do, and we're able to expand the number of areas that we can work in by doing it that way. Opportunity areas are neighborhoods in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County where the data shows that kids and families are expected to have the best opportunities to thrive. They spent a ton of time deciding these a couple of years ago. They didn't consult me. I didn't even work here then. So if you disagree, I'm so sorry. But these are not going to change because it is a study. So they want to make sure that we're working with the same neighborhoods throughout the duration of the study, to keep the data as clean and usable as possible. But they looked at all kinds of stuff. The concentration of poverty or wealth in a neighborhood, school quality, health and environment, long-term economic outcomes for kids, all sorts of different things. And I do just want to note that these are separate from the payment standard tiers. We have a lot of tier 6 neighborhoods that are opportunity areas that we can do. And there's actually some tier 1 neighborhoods that we can't do and are not considered opportunity areas for our purposes. So this is separate from the payment standard tiers. And why are we doing this? At the moment, both in Pittsburgh and nationwide, most voucher tenants live in underserved neighborhoods. Looking at the map, the bigger the circle, the more voucher families live in an area. And I think we're all probably pretty familiar with Pittsburgh. We know that these are neighborhoods with a higher concentration of poverty, not the best schools, not the best safety ratings. So, and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying that that's because voucher families live there, but that is oftentimes the only areas where the families that I work with can find property owners to take their vouchers. And that's not great for anyone. Kind of the driving data behind this is that a child with a low-income parent, they have found that if that child is able to grow up in a mixed or high-income neighborhood with great schools and more resources, their lifelong outcomes, so college attendance, lifelong earnings, tend to be higher than if they grew up in concentrated poverty, even if their parents' financial situation doesn't change. So I think that's really cool that moving a family can have such a big impact. So that's kind of the rationale from HUD behind all of this. So how are we involved? Like I said, I work at the Greater Pittsburgh YWCA. I do not work at one of the housing authorities. And we at the YWCA are providing all of the mobility services for our partner families. Our team is myself, we have a team lead, and there's 2 housing coaches So we're a pretty small team, but I feel like we've been able to get a lot done. And we provide services for both families and property owners. So for the families, we provide referrals to things like credit counseling to help strengthen their applications before we start their housing search. We offer workshops on housing search and renters workshop. And I think the biggest thing is that we offer referrals to units in opportunity areas where the property owner has said that they're interested in working with the program. And we also have some financial assistance that we offer. For property owners, it's the same kind of support all throughout the move-in process. I work with a lot of landlords who have never worked with the voucher program before, so I can help with all of the RAFTA paperwork. A huge part of my job is coordinating between the property owner and the tenant and the housing authority to make sure that everything goes really quickly. I always have a lot of people that are looking to move, so if you have vacancies available, all you have to do is let me know, and I can often send a couple of families your way who would be interested. And we have some financial incentives for property owners as well. And then our lovely partners at ACHA and HACP administer the vouchers as usual, except that they've agreed to expedite services for our families. So that's RAFTA processing, that's inspection scheduling, that includes porting if someone needs to port between housing authorities. And it is going up very quickly and smoothly. So that's been a really exciting, it's just exciting to see that it's working. And I want to be clear, the monthly rental payments are still coming from either ACHA or HACP. We are not a subsidy program. We just help families with vouchers move, and then we pay the security deposit and a lease-up bonus. We have some great incentives for property owners. I think that if you're here, you are probably already connected with ACHA and know all of the wonderful reasons why you should rent to voucher families. But there is that extra assurance that your tenant will always have a rent portion that's affordable for them. We have expedited processing through our partnerships with the city and county housing authorities. I do a lot of the coordinating between everyone, like I said. And I talk to our partners almost every single day, and we meet bi-weekly. So things go faster, and I'm able to get a quick answer when there's questions. We also pay a lease-up bonus of $1,000 for every unit that you rent to one of our families. And I always have a ton of participants that are looking to move into a great home. So if you have vacancies, or you're going to have vacancies in a couple months, or even in the next couple of years, if you have units that you're interested in leasing up, just let me know, and I can almost always send some interested parties your way. And just for your peace of mind, we also have a damage mitigation fund. So that is for if there is damage to the unit that exceeds the security deposit, we've got you covered. And we have an extra up to $2,000 to help offset some of those costs. We have been fully up and running for, we exited our pilot phase about a year ago, but we've been moving people for about a year and a half, and we have never had to use this. So it's just something we offer for your peace of mind. And just some data for everyone. We've had 44 moves so far, with 4 more that are in the works. My personal goal is for us to hit 50 within the next month or so. So that'll be really exciting. And this is even more exciting when you think about the fact that it's not 44 individuals that we've moved. Everyone I work with has at least one kid, and most have a couple. So when you think about the number of people that have actually moved, it feels good. And in general, it takes about 2 weeks for us to move someone through CCD, and that's from when you submit the RAFTA to when they can lease up. So things have been going really quickly. I'd say it adds about an extra week if the family needs to port, but I'm really pleased how fast that's been going. And I usually have around 20 to 25 families that are actively searching for housing at a time. And I do just want to note that to start their housing search, we require families to submit their notice and get their move voucher. So everyone that I am working with in their active search is like ready to go, ready to submit a RAFTA. So hopefully by now you're feeling really interested and excited to collaborate with us. So just a couple more things that you'll need to know. We'll talk a little bit more about the neighborhoods that we can work in. We'll talk about some enrollment and eligibility things, and then how to connect with us. And I'll make sure I put the contact information in the chat later as well. So we talked about the opportunity areas a little bit already, but we have
Hey,
a map.
where's your baby?
We have a map called the address locator tool on our website, which we'll also put that in the chat. Thanks, Hannah. At the end so that you have it. While you're on our website, if you need a refresher on some of the information we went over today, a lot of this is also on our website. And the map is all the way to kind of click around. Everything in the green are our areas, or you can search by address if you're wondering about a particular unit that you have. And the other feature of this map that I think is cool is if you click from the drop downs the voucher size and the bedroom size, it will give you an estimated top rent. This is a little bit different than the blue map that Hannah and Michael use a lot. We have subtracted out an estimated utility allowance to save you and me and our partner families from having to do the math for the utility allowance calculations all the time. So this will give you an estimate of what your max rent would be if the tenant's paying all utilities. So there's that. This information about opportunity areas is also in the blue map that Mike and Hannah use. When you're clicking on different neighborhoods or searching, in that box that pops up, it'll say opportunity area designation, and it's either a 0 or a 1. And I believe if it's a 1, it's an area we can look in. Or you can reach out to me and I can check as well. Some information about enrollment and eligibility. This is a study, so unlike a lot of other housing programs in the area, we don't really take referrals. Instead, we're doing proactive enrollment or proactive outreach from the enrollment team, which includes Hannah and our dear colleague Antonetta at DHS. So who is eligible is families with at least one child under 18 in the household with an active housing choice voucher through city or county. And we're currently funded through 2028. So everyone who qualifies will receive an invitation to enroll over the next 4 years if they haven't already. If you think your tenants would be interested, you can tell them to keep an eye out for a letter in the mail and an email from their housing authority. And how it works is this is a study. So families are invited, and then if they choose to enroll, they are randomly assigned to either the control group or the treatment group. If they're in the control group, they do not get any of our services, unfortunately, and the study team just kind of follows them to compare. And if they get services, they get full CCD services with us. So families that enroll have a 50-50 chance of receiving mobility services or not. And that's why we don't really take referrals, because if you're referring someone that's probably a family that has a need and needs to move, or, you know, would probably need the services, and we just don't have a way to guarantee for families that enroll which group they would be put in. So that's why we don't really take referrals. And I'm sure some of you have units in opportunity areas that you're wondering about, if your current tenants can enroll and you can get the benefits. But this is a mobility program, so our focus is helping families move to a new unit. So if they enroll and receive services from us, we're trying to move them. So even if your unit is in an opportunity area and you're leased up with a voucher family currently, we're not able to just kind of go in and apply services, because a lot of our services are for and then move. And just some information about the process that we do. There's the recruitment and enrollment phase that Hannah and Antonetta are working on, and then if they are assigned to the services group, they come and work with us at the YWCA. I just want to note that a lot of our, like the pre-move appointment and the family prep, are pretty time consuming. And I have found that families who choose to do this extra work with us to make this happen are really motivated to make a successful move and be great long-term tenants. So they do a pre-move appointment. It's usually over 2 hours while we get a lot of information from them. And then they spend it kind of depends on the family, but they spend some time in the family prep phase working on, like, if they need to work on their credit score, they'll do that. If there just is some time before their lease is up, then we'll wait. And we get them ready for their housing search. And then they move to phase 4 and start working with me in their active search. And I've said this before, but this is important. So I just want to note, for families to start their housing search and move to phase 4 and start working with me, we do require them to submit their notice, get their move voucher, so that when we find a unit, they have their RAFTA and everything ready to go. And this is where I provide unit referrals, help families with their search. We all make a ton of phone calls, and we have like a moving stipend for families as well. And then we help with the RAFTA, the inspections, all of that. And then we check in with both the tenant and you as the landlord about a month after they move in to make sure that everything is going well. If there's any support needed, there almost never is, because I'm talking to you in that month to make sure that all of the payments are coming and everything. And yeah, this has been working really well. We've had a lot of happy families who have moved. We've had a ton of happy property owners. We've had a lot of property owners lease up with one of our families and then intentionally start seeking out units in opportunity areas because they want to continue working with us. And I think that that is probably the best, most glowing review we could possibly get. So yeah, that's just to say that a lot of work goes into this for the families. So I can really vouch for our participants. I think you get some great tenants out of our program. And here is my contact information. I will make sure that all of this is in the chat as well. Call me, text me, send me an email, whatever works. And even if you have units that you know won't be ready for a couple months, that's fine. We have a lot of different timelines between the families I'm working with, so I can almost always work something out. And that is the end of my presentation. I think we had some questions in the chat, and we can.
I think from Mike, there was one. Do you have to have a judgment for damage to receive funds above the security deposit amount, which is a great question.
No, you do not. We would just need receipts of the work that you did. And we can pay up to 2 months security deposit, like 2 months rent for the security deposit. That's the Pennsylvania state maximum. So it's the deposits that we can pay are usually pretty hefty to begin with. And we pay, but it goes back to the tenant when they move out minus any damages. So the tenant is already very incentivized to take great care of the unit because they're doing all this work to move. They want to be a good tenant. And also it's often a pretty sizable amount of money. So we haven't had any issues with damages out of our 44 moves. I can't think of a single person that had like any sort of damage to the unit issues. So.
I did just put in the chat the address locator tool for everyone to have access to. But also I know that Madeline had touched on it, but the FMR map that Mike and I use with all of you, there is a way for you to also seek out an opportunity area on our map as well. Madeline's gives you some more in-depth stuff too, but you're already on our FMR map too. So all that ours indicates is whether or not it's an opportunity or not. So at least whenever you're searching for properties and ours, since you're already on there, you can at least get that far. And then you'd have to go over to Madeline's map, which again, the link is right there in the chat. If that helps. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. So the map seems pretty easy to use. I was just using it while we were on there. So just to confirm, so it says opportunity area, yes or no, and that's how we know if we would qualify for your particular program, correct?
Yes. So it says yes or no, and like while you're searching, that little circle that pops up on the map, if it's in the green, you're good. If it's in the gray, we can't work with that particular unit. sometimes units are like right on the line and you need to zoom in a little bit. That's probably the same way with Mike and Hannah's map. And we've had several instances where a unit is like literally just on the other side of the street of the line. And unfortunately, we still can't do that. If I could change one thing about the program, it would be that we get some sort of a waiver process for units that are like right there. But yeah, it has to be in for us to be able to work with it.
Okay, because I have two units that are available. One that's in Mount Oliver, and that one said no. And then I have another one that's in North Versailles, and it's green, but it doesn't. Oh, I put the wrong one. It's green, which means that that one's good, and I could reach out to you about that one then.
Yep. And if you want to just email me the address, I'm happy to double check too, and we can chat.
Okay, perfect.
That's
Thank you.
great. Thank you.
You see that question, Madeline?
I do.
I'm gonna read it out loud for everybody. You have placed 44 families. How many YWCA eligible families are you looking to place today? Where and how do they search for properties, neighborhoods in which they want to live? Good question,
That's a
right?
great question. So we've placed 44 families all over the city and county. I can't even really give you like clusters of where people have moved to because we've really had people go all over the place. I would say in the city, we've had a lot of families move to Squirrel Hill. Several families moved to like Brookline, South Park, like Ross and Reserve Townships, Monroeville. So people really have gone all over the place. And I would say about 2/3 of the families I work with have a car and are working and are able to move like pretty far out. It's not like it might even be closer to 50-50 of families who can move wherever and don't need to like stay on the bus line. So we really have people looking all over the place and moving all over the place. To answer what's your question? They are searching for properties. Just like everyone else, we're on Zillow, we're on Trulia, we're on HotPads. I'm looking at the ACHA list constantly. We have had quite a number of returning property owners who are like sending me their vacancies, so I will send those out. I'm also doing my own separate search, so I can send unit referrals to families, and then we kind of go from there. But part of what we teach is like helping our partner families feel confident making cold calls off of Zillow and talking about their voucher and all of that. So in addition to moving families, we are trying to build that confidence and those skills so that if they want to move in the future, they feel a little bit more empowered to do that in opportunity areas.
Yeah, that was a good question.
How long do families who move receive supportive services through this program, or do they just get supportive services pre and during the move? That's a great question, Maddie. Thank you. So we're not really providing like supportive services in the traditional sense. This is not case management. This is not even like housing navigation. We are just helping with the move. We can make a referral to case management if needed, but like we are not social workers or case managers. We are housing professionals. So all of our families are very self-sufficient. So they don't really need support from us other than just that moving piece. So they work with us for anywhere from like a month or so to like up to almost a year, depending on the timing of their lease when they're enrolled before their move, and they can do some prep with us. And then through the move, and we check in with them 1 month post move. We have an open door for tenants and property owners. So even if it's just asking about a rent increase, or if like I had someone call me a couple days ago who moved 6 months ago and got laid off, and she called me just to ask about reporting that change of income to the housing authority. So we're always happy to help with that kind of stuff whenever. But they don't really need a ton of support from us, and we don't want to be just bugging them for the sake of it beyond the move. But they do have access to our services for the duration of the program. So I've had a couple families that just have too much going on right now and don't want to move this year, but they have the full ability to try again in future years. As many.
So it's more like technical assistance as necessary from your team. Would that be the correct framing?
Yes. And for everyone in our program, whether or not they move at all or move to a different non-opportunity area unit or move to an opportunity area, we check in with everyone who's enrolled about 3 months before their lease is up every year just to see, hey, are you doing okay? Do you want to try and move again? Are you happy where you're at? And if they want to try and move again, we will start their search and do all the services all over again. But most of our families that have moved want to be there for a very long time. So
cool, thanks.
Any other questions? Those were some good ones. If we can kind of sum it up from, you know, the way that Mike and I pitch this to all of you is you know, you would be buying properties in these opportunity areas, right? So sure, the cost is higher to purchase these properties. Sometimes they may not be, depending on where you're looking, but this is a really special program. You know, we get to talk with the tenants, we get to hear about them and hear about their stories. Maddie, you know, once I'm able to pass them off to the YWCA, Maddie gets to kind of get to know them. She gets to take them on house tours, which I think is a huge additive. Maddie is just kind of your liaison there too. So that whenever your tenants are, you know, the prospective tenants are there, you're not alone with them, which is really nice. You kind of get a good feel for them, right? You get to, you know, see how many family members they have, the kids, get to know a little bit about them too. So, you know, while a lot of people would say every area should be an opportunity area, this is a really special way for you to kind of get your foot in the door with some more property, and it's kind of a smart buy, right? Just like all of the other, you know, you guys are smart people. You're investing in property. It's the best thing that you could buy, right? So you know, it's just kind of one more program to get yourself involved in. Obviously, you get it's a bonus that you get to sign on to, which is a great additive. And then, you know, costs, God forbid, if anything were to happen. But again, the people with YWCA and DHS, they remain, you know, the relationships that they have with these tenants is a good one. So, you know, the circumstances will just be a little bit different because we really get to know the tenants with this, if that makes sense. Any other questions?
I just have a quick one. I'm playing around with the math. Are any municipalities or neighborhoods split? Like part of it is, and part of like I'm looking over. Like I live over in Swissvale, and it's like Swissvale's name splits, but I'm like maybe that's just the border with Swiss Elm Park. Like Swissvale is not the Swiss Elm Park neighborhood.
yes, you are correct. Swissvale is not. Swiss Home Park is. And even like there are a ton of neighborhoods that are split, which is why we made our map, because it's just a little bit more like visible, especially for our partner families because they are helping with their search. So yes, like Brookline is made of 4 census tracts. 3 of them we can do, 1 of them we cannot. Penn Hills is a huge neighborhood, and there are like 2 census tracts in Penn Hills that we can do. So yes, that's why we didn't go by zip codes. And we did go by census tracts because we were able to be really specific. And I think switching to census tracts really expanded the amount of areas that we are able to work in.
Cool, thanks.
So you guys kind of have you have access to this map of Maddie's. You have access to our map too, whenever you're on our FMR map, that you can look up these areas to see if they're an opportunity area. Any other questions? I hope this was pretty beneficial. We're gonna be doing definitely more of these and in the future. Ryan, does that mean you have a list of census tracts that you can share with us that are eligible? Ryan, are you asking if we can just share like the map that indicates whether or not an area is an opportunity area?
So I know that we use the census tract to directly pin the FMR rent. I was wondering if there's also a list that says, yes, this census tract is 100% eligible. Because if you're saying you're using census tract, could we use it that way? As opposed to the map, like you just said, there are areas that are split, and census tract is more refined and defined.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Okay.
I'm sure someone has that. I personally do not. Can you send me an email and I will reach out
Of course,
to
Madeline. Of course I can.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm gonna try to find an address. Yeah.
I've seen it in like Excel spreadsheets where we're looking at payment standards and other things. So I'm like, it's out there somewhere. I just need to figure out who would have that.
We'll work
Any-
together to get that.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
I'll try. I wanted to, for some reason, my computer, it won't let me upload files. But the map, I actually have the map that has the map of the opportunity areas. It's the really colorful one, Madeline. So I'm gonna send that to them too, just so they can kind of have that in front of their face, to be able to look at that as well, if that makes sense. So I'll send that in the email. And then Madeline's her presentation, and then the recording of this Zoom will also be sent too. Jeff, I did participate in the program, and the tenant just renewed and everything has been great. Oh, that's awesome. Cool, Jeff. That's great to hear. That's great. I really have not been with any landlords yet that have done this, so it's really cool to hear from that side. I have just been working closely with the tenants and then pitching this, so that's so cool to hear. Not that it's surprising because you're working with great people, but this really is a special program, so I hope that you guys will consider investing into some good properties in better areas, and can kind of all benefit from it. Okay. Well, Madeline, thank you very much. We really appreciate you doing this. I think we'll hopefully get some good questions, and everybody has Madeline's email address and phone number if you need it. And if you missed that, it's in the chat. And then also, you can always feel free to reach out to Mike and I for her contact info if you need anything. Okay. Oh, Madeline, thank you again. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Good. I'm so glad. All right, guys, have a good one.
Thanks.
Have a good rest of your week if I don't speak to any of you. Bye.